Hello everyone and welcome back to their Thomas Wooden Railway review. Today we're going to be taking a look at Sir Handel, and for those who don't know, Sir Handel was originally called Falcon when he worked on the Mid-Sodal Railway, but his name was later changed to Sir Handel when he was sold to the Skarloey Railway, and he of course works on the Skarloey Railway, and he at the beginning of the series when he was introduced, he was quite a troublesome engine. But as the series went on, he became a little bit less troublesome and a little bit more of a wise character. And in the CGI series, he worked on the Blue Mountain Quarry. So that's a little bit about Sir Handel there in the TV series. But looking at Sir Handel's Thomas Wooden Railway model, this here is the 2012 model of Sir Handel. But there were some other versions of Sir Handel that were made before this model, and I'll talk a little bit more about those versions later on. But this here's the 2012 version. This is the only model of Sir Handel that I have. But this is supposed to represent how Sir Handel looked in the CGI series. And I feel like it does a very good job of representing how Sir Handel looked in the CGI series. I think that his face there, I think that that's a very good Sir Handel face, CGI Sir Handel face there. It's very accurate to how Sir Handel looked in the CGI series. So I feel like that's a pretty good depiction of his face there. And then looking at the detailing on the side of Sir Handel here, this part was done very nicely. I have had my model for a very, very long time, so that's why you can see like lots of edge wear on it, and the name has also rubbed off as well on like the nameplate there. But that should say Sir Handel there, and then there's of course lots of other detailing. So there's like lining there, and there's of course his number there, number 3, and then he has like 2 domes as well. So that's very nice. And I don't feel like his proportions are that bad here. Of course, the narrow gauge engines don't really scale well with standard gauge engines, and I also don't feel like in general the narrow gauge engines in Thomas Wooden Railway were their proportions weren't always that great. And I don't feel like Sir Handel's proportions are great here, but they're not terrible. I think it definitely could have been a lot worse here. So it's not too bad. And of course, he does have 6 wheels here, and then it does say Sir Handel on the bottom as well. There, and then I feel like his cab, like his cab section here looks pretty nice as well. There's like some detailing right there. And then looking at the back of Sir Handel, he actually has a buffer beam there, and then he also has a buffer beam on the front, which is very surprising there. It's kind of weird when Thomas Wooden Railway models would have buffer beams. Of course, there aren't actually buffers on the buffer beam there, but he still does have one, which is kind of surprising because usually Thomas Wooden Railway models don't really have buffer beams. And it still is kind of weird to me, like when Learning Curve and Mattel would decide to put buffer beams and when they wouldn't, because most of the time, again, there weren't really buffer beams. But on Sir Handel here, there is one, which I think is very nice there. And the rest of the back of Sir Handel there is pretty plain there. But I feel like this is a very good depiction of Sir Handel, especially how Sir Handel looked in the CGI series. I feel like it's just very accurate to how he looked in the CGI series. But talking about the other Thomas Wooden Railway models of Sir Handel, there was a model that had many different variations of it, but it was kind of like one. They were all pretty similar, and that started. It was first released in the late 90s, and it kind of went into the early 2000s. And in my opinion, that model is just not a very good depiction of Sir Handel. It just doesn't really look like Sir Handel at all. His proportions aren't very good. And I'm just not personally a big fan of that model. I don't think it's a very good model of Sir Handel. But then there was also a 2008 model of Sir Handel, and that is a very good model of Sir Handel. I feel like that's a very good representation of how Sir Handel looked in the model series. And I feel like the face on that model is pretty good as well. And yeah, I just feel like that's a very good model. The overall design of it is actually pretty similar to this one here. This, of course, is just representing how Sir Handel looks in the CGI series, whereas that model is more of a depiction of how Sir Handel looked in the model series there. But yeah, I feel like that's a very good model of Sir Handel as well. I would say this one is personally my favorite, just because it has more detailing on the side of it than that 2008 model I had, but they are both pretty similar. And I feel like the boilers on both of those models are very, they're just, their proportions on it are very good. That's part of why that very first model of Sir Handel, the proportions on it were not good. It's because the boiler was way too small. But I feel like on this model and the 2008 model, the boiler is definitely the correct size here, which definitely helps a lot. But either way, I think that pretty much does it here for my review on Sir Handel. I feel like this model and the 2008 model are very good depictions of Sir Handel. And yeah, overall, I feel like Sir Handel's character is very interesting as well. And again, I think that he has some pretty good Thomas Wooden Railway models. But it is a shame that there was never another model made of him after 2012, because that would have been interesting to see. But either way, this was the last model of Sir Handel that was ever released in the Thomas Wooden Railway line. So that pretty much does it for my review here on Sir Handel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you on the next one.